I always start my presentation with a dirty joke, and if you behave and stay until the end, I will share a second one. My name is George Parvanov, and the Bulgarian part of the audience might be a little bit frustrated that it's not the George Parvanov that they expected to talk about selling the business. I'm sorry for that. Probably next time. I have sold or bought 5 times businesses so far, and as it was mentioned earlier, one company 3 times. So I will try today to share practical experience in that respect. And if you have an idea to exit your business, it will be my pleasure to, if you give me a call and if I can be of any help. The 4th time I did it with another company of mine. The 5th time we tried to buy a company. It didn't work out, but it's the biggest deal so far in which I participated, which was about 20 million euros. My story, I started working actually more years than it was mentioned in the official presentation. I work since the age of 19 officially, and since the age of 16 unofficially. I started in a small distribution business in the early years of the changes. At the age of 19, I became part of the first management team of McDonald's in Bulgaria, which is maybe not the best place to work for, but is a good school. And there is where I started in human resources. At the age of 21, I was the youngest head of personnel of Societe Generale Bank worldwide. And at the age of 26, probably, I started private business. I think it's very important in life that you learn all the time, and I learned a lot from the previous speakers. From Justin, I have to learn how to be successful on the personal side. I'm 40, 2 times married, 2 times divorced, 2 children, and I went to the fortune teller, and she told me that there will be a 3rd one with a 3rd child and a blonde foreigner, so we will be looking around. From the previous, the last presenter, Temelko, I was really very impressed. My presentation is much more simple, and I have to learn a lot. And the last part with the music was really wow. So you always have a lot to learn from. Again, great experience from JCI. I will try to be fast and on time. I think we don't have so many slides, and leave some time for questions. And I start with a joke, if you don't mind. 2 old ladies met together, and one of them said, you know, my guy is 100% impotent. Do you know it, or? Okay, you don't know. And the second one said, mine is 300% impotent. And the first one says, it's not possible. And the second one says, yes, it's 100%. Plus, he fell down the stairs, he broke his arms, and he beat his tongue. So, so now let's get to business. If you behave, I will tell you a second one. It's really dirty. So how to sell your business? The first slide is, as it was mentioned earlier, some of you already have businesses or have idea to develop your own business. It all starts, in my opinion, from the beginning. And the strategy, if you want to exit your business, or if you want to keep it long-term for your children and grandchildren, I don't know what, is very different. In my case, I have, when I established a company called Consult Team in the year of 2000, I openly told to the team in the very beginning that I intend to exit the business. So everybody was prepared. As it is written in the books, on the 5th year, I sold a majority stake to the number 3 in the world at that time. But the whole strategy in these 5 years was in line with the idea to exit, which means no dividend distribution. All the profit was reinvested. The team knew that we will exit and we will be part of another organization, etc. If you want to keep your business, the strategy is very different. If something doesn't sound reasonable to you or you have questions, ask. Staff policy is different, clearly. If you want to build a business which will be for exit, you also want to show off a little bit. Sorry for sounding, I'm a very straightforward person, so I ask everything, you can ask everything, and I tell everything openly. you have to show nicer figures. So sometimes you overstaff a little bit, or you open positions that might look nicer on the paper if you want to make exit. If you want to keep your business long term, you will not have some of these positions. Turnover and profitability. It is very important that you have a creative CFO or chief accountant. I'm saying this in a nice way. No, unlike other businesses, we were on white, as it is said in Bulgarian, from day one. And we didn't have this issue. But of course, when you have a strategy to exit your business, certain figures and ratios are very important. We will come to that point. And you have to, if you want to exit, you have to make your figures look nicer, your profitability look nicer, your sales should be higher. Dividend and profit sharing I already mentioned. If you're going to sell your business in the next 5 to 7 years, you cannot afford dividend distribution, or at least I haven't seen this, maybe it may work. Marketing, advertising, and market share. Obviously, quite different spending and quite different strategy in both cases. Loans and investments. In our 5 years of existence as independent company, we have reinvested everything, and our strategy was to get as much market share as possible. I showed this slide to a top person in M&A who has made investments of about €500 million in Bulgaria. I mean, went through him. He told me, this is a messy slide, but I kept it as it is, and I'll explain you why. In some businesses, you have to take a lot of loans. In the consulting, and I will refer this presentation mainly to services business, you don't need so much of investment. But I have seen businesses where, not to give concrete examples for Bulgaria, but for instance, mineral water company, FMCG companies that are taking big loans, and they buy market share so that they sell for more money. And in this case, it worked. I missed to tell you maybe a little bit about the company which I created. So Consult Team started, believe it or not, with €2,500 or 5,000 leva, which was the minimum capital required. It grew very fast. We were the first HR company to open in Serbia after Milosevic fell. We opened Croatia, Montenegro, Romania, Bosnia, Russia, Lithuania. Should be 7 altogether. And we sold, as I mentioned, on the 5th year to the number 3 in the world at that time, Videor. Last year, the combined sales of Consult Team reached about 60 million, 60 levels, which is about 30 million euros, which is not bad result. And in Bulgaria alone, we were making about, last year, 1 million euro per month, which is, for HR business, is not bad. Choosing between types of investor. Everybody knows what is business angel. I don't know, you know. Okay, I don't need to mention. Business angel could be used only in the case you have a startup business, clearly. The choice between financial and strategic investor is very important, and it has a certain pluses and minuses. I will not mention names because it will not be correct, but we were talking to both financial and strategic investors. And we met as financial investor a very strong investment fund. And the guys clearly didn't know the HR business, and they didn't know the services business. So they were trying to ask us questions to make the negotiation more difficult. And at some point they asked, like, do you keep timesheets of all the stuff? Like, they were really trying to find some reason to put down the price. We told them, you know, in our business, in particular in recruitment, it's not possible to keep timesheet. Why it doesn't work? Something like that. The financial investor, in most cases, does not know so much in detail the business, but they try to, what they say, they try to be active participants. When you hear, if you sell your business to financial investor, if you hear we want to actively participate in the management, be careful. Personal advice. The strategic investor, and a financial investor is usually one that is keeping the business for 3 to 5 years and then makes a final exit or sells back to you. With the strategic one, it's usually a long-term deal. Stock exchange, I haven't done stock exchange, I just listed it here. it is a possibility. If you want the latest trend that we see, because the Sofia Stock Exchange is very small one, not to say other words, big companies like Sopharma are getting listed outside of Bulgaria. So Sopharma is listed in Warsaw, others are trying to get listed in bigger stock exchanges. Crowdfunding, this one is getting really very fashionable. I found a crowdfunding site, if somebody is interested, about getting money for making movies. So I will share with you the link. I was really surprised. This one is more of you collect money and then you give out some product or percentage of the shares. The state, it's not, in Bulgaria, hopefully it's not the usual investor, but in other countries like Russia, in some cases the state is the buyer, and not always you want to have this investor. And clearly all of them have certain advantages and disadvantages. Is this all clear to you? Okay. In all of the deals that we have had, we used an advisor, and in the first case it was mainly a legal one, and in the second case we used an M&A advisor. We were very happy with an M&A advisor, which managed to generate 10 bids, so 10 offers for a Bulgarian HR company in the middle of the crisis. Fantastic result. So I strongly recommend you that you use one. In some cases, use a bank as advisor, not in Bulgaria, or not so many cases that I have heard, unless it is a very big business. You often use somebody from the business to advise you. I have a guru. It's a lady, an American lady that created one of the first HR companies in Eastern Europe, and she sold for, keep it confidential in this room, please, but in the crazy times, she sold her company for 8 times the annual sales. This is crazy. In our business, this is unbelievable. So let's imagine, I think I can speak now with concrete figures because the deal is public. She had annual sales of $4 million at that time. So she sold the company for $32 million. And she now lives in Budapest in the house of the Rubik Cube creator, and she has an Olympic-sized swimming pool in the living room. She's really okay. And now she's building another business that she will sell, and she has been my advisor throughout the years and really giving me help on the small letters of the deals. For instance, in her deal, she signed with the small letters a clause saying, "You will stick to the policies and procedures of the buyer company." Sounds simple to you, I guess. Probably you will sign, I will sign such a contract. Then the buyer company came, and they said, "We use only IBM computers, Ford cars, I don't know what kind of software, so you sell everything and you buy what we use." So she went on a crazy loss the first year. So you really have to be careful about the small letters. Defining the exit strategy is very important. In most cases, when you start a business, you don't define this from the day one. You define it at a later stage when you start the procedure. The procedure usually takes between 1 and 2 years. The first question is to define the price range. In Bulgaria, the major issue is that the business owners have unrealistic expectations about the value of their business. I don't want to mention the bank, but I had a case when I brought an M&A advisor and a potential buyer to one of the big, still independent Bulgarian banks. And they came with a price which was idiotic, so it didn't work out. You have to be realistic, and we will come to prices, at least in the business which I know. Define the time range. There should be a clear time frame in which you sell the business or you don't sell the business. And you have to communicate this clearly to the interested parties. Decide on the percentage to be sold, very important one. In the first case, I sold 55. In the last case, I sold 100%. There are pluses and minuses, and you have to be careful about that. Decide on employee strategy. I give you a funny example. When we were collecting the bids, we had one bidder which was coming from an Arabic country, a very big HR company. And we asked them, what is your policy regarding keeping the management? Which is a very simple question. In this case, I meant, what do you intend to do with me and people around me? And the Arab said, we have plans to keep long-term the management. And I said, fine. What do you define as long-term? And they said 6 months. So I said, fine, thank you very much. They were rejected. So you have to be very careful what are your plans and the plans of the team and the management. The big problem when you sell your business is that you freeze most of the last 2 points activities for a certain period of time, and that's why you should keep this process under a certain time frame. The memorandum the memorandum for the sale of the company is the critical document where you put what is your strategy, why do you want to sell, what are your intentions, what are the growth plans, etc. Again, you have to be very creative. In most cases, this is done by the M&A advisor and not by you, but you have a strong input. In some cases, this may take you easily 6 months to draft. And this is the most important part of the preparation of your exit strategy. Have you seen memorandum for sale of a company? No. Okay. You have seen? Okay. It should look very beautiful. In many cases, it describes a pinky future that may not happen, but you have to you have to sell your business well. I will be very concrete here because my first deal was already happened a long time ago. In our business, the main price is defined on the times EBITDA on the second formula. So this is profit before amortization and taxes. In my first case, it was 6 times, which is considered a very good deal. Then the prices went up, and I will come to a case with much higher price. Currently, I have an offer to buy, sorry for the example, but HR company in Greece for €1 because they have a problem with finances and with financing the business. So currently there is no real balance, at least in the services or the HR business. The formula based on sales is a very rare one. What it means actually is you buy market share. You don't buy profitability. So if you are, for instance, Coca-Cola and you want to buy another player, let's say Derby in the Bulgaria case, on the market, and you want to buy the market share, maybe you will use this formula. So this is multiplier, say 1 time or 2 times on the sales. EBITDA is when you look for profitability, and this is much more common. And then you have in the IT business and other businesses formula based on number of clicks, number of visitors, number of customers. In Bulgaria, there was a record deal for whereby MTEL, owned by Austria Telecom, purchased Magellan and one other, I forgot, SpectrumNet, operators of internet for a crazy, crazy price, the highest in Europe. I think it's one of the highest in the world. So they paid 82 million euros cash to buy them, and there the price is defined by the number of people that are subscribers of the service, and our price is a record. So other factors affecting the price, from here you have to start paying me per hour because this is one from experience. Indebtedness, this is clear. Depending on what kind of debt you have, this can be included in the price or excluded. The team is something that usually the buyer buys. In rare cases, they're not interested in. What is your differentiation from competition is very important. Do you know what is DSO? Okay, I don't know what is DSO, I mean what it means, but DSO is the term for number of days, average number of days, where you receive your money from the payers, from the clients. In our business, the usual term in European Union is about between 60 and 70 days. And I give an example about DSO and how it affects our price. One of the bidders that we had is Adecco, which is the biggest HR company in the world, 24 million euros of turnover last year. Billion euros. And we were having the negotiation. When you have the negotiation, they are also recorded, so you have official record, then you have to sign that everything is recorded. And they ask us, what is your DSO? And I was not very fast in answering, but my Serbian partner answered 0. And they were like in shock. After some more questions, their CFO for Europe asked again, can I please ask you for the record, what is your average DSO? For example, in a country like Luxembourg, it is 180 days. So in average, they get paid in 6 months. We repeated 0. We finished the conversation, and we left the meeting, and 2 hours later, we are called by the CEO for Europe of Adecco, and he asked, can you please confirm that your DSO is 0? And we said, yes. And he said, you just raised the price of your company by €1 million. What has happened, actually, this is not a valid example for today, but at that time it was. And a valid example how you have to be careful about these factors and how they can affect your exit strategy. My Serbian partner was referring to the thing existing in Bulgaria of pro forma and trio invoice. And the buyer was asking, what is your average day between getting the real invoice and getting paid, which is 0 usually, because at that time you first issue the pro forma invoice, then the client pays to you, and then you get the original invoice. In Western Europe, it didn't exist, the pro forma invoice. So for them, you know, our DSO was a record one, and we got a good offer. Brand. The brand is very important in some businesses, not to say most businesses. In rare cases, you know, if you buy a legal business or something, the brand may be not so important. Unique product, geography, the fact that we were in 7 countries clearly raised our price, and it is always a very important factor. Partnerships and affiliations, if you are representing some major company, this is increasing your price. Reputation, you may laugh at this one. We had a study of the reputation of the company and the personal reputation of myself and the management team, and this is a major factor in some businesses, at least in our case, in terms of increasing the price. Management, clearly a very important one, and others, but in my opinion, these are the most important, and I hope I didn't miss any. This is the actual exit process. I will not get into the detail for it. You can probably get from JCI after that the presentation, but we have discussed already that the strategy is very important, drafting a nice memorandum is very important. DD stays for due diligence. There are 2 types of due diligence. One is that you order. So you order with KPMG or Pricewaterhouse that they make your due diligence, and then you present it to the potential buyers. In another case, which is in most cases, the buyer decides who to make the due diligence. This is very, very important part. During the due diligence, they make so-called data rooms. So you leave one room in your office where an auditor sits, or 2 or more, and then they ask all kinds of documentation and questions and bring members of the team, etc. Then you get the non-binding offers. As I mentioned, in the first case, which I sold the company, I had 5 bids, including offers from number 1, number 3 in the world, and some financial investors. In the second case, I did the management buyout, so I bought back my company. In the third case, I sold it, and I had 10 bids. The more you have, the better, of course. Then you start the negotiation with the interested parties, and you have to choose between, usually you shortlist 1 or 2 with which you close the deal, and then you get paid and transfer the shares. Close the deal. It's not as fancy as it looks. In Bulgaria, we have a nasty saying: when you make money, you do 2 things. One is change your wife, and second, you buy a new car. I did both. I'm not very proud of it. You have to really think, and the case I will give you is with the Telerik. As you know, Telerik is a major Bulgarian IT company that make a record sale recently. So each of the 4 partners got 100 million leva cash from selling to Progressive, which is a major American software company. Nice money, great for the company, great for Bulgaria. This last point would be, I'm very curious to see how the partners will feel working for somebody after being independent. So you have to really think before you sell. can you work for somebody? What will be the consequences? Do you sell 100%, etc.? There is part of it, but it's not always that fancy. That's all from me. I try to keep it on time. I try to leave cards for each of you. They were not enough, so if you have any questions, I will be happy to give. I mean, I owe a big favor to Nikki and to the team of JCI, so I will be very glad to help you with anything if you need in human resources field or in terms of exit strategy, or connect you with the right people. If you have any questions before the second joke, please ask. Everything is clear? Okay. Yes, please.
Regarding the team, how easy is really to work with a team if they all know that the company is going to be sold to new owners and there will be new managers? So how does it really affect the team psychology? Because today I can't really imagine telling all the people that yes, we will be gone and you will have new managers and we don't know what they will do. So people won't feel secure in their workplace and they might want to leave. The team actually falls apart and your sales value will drop actually.
Yes, very good question. In the usual case in Bulgaria, the owner is not disclosing to the team that they will sell. I have seen cases where the negotiations are in one closed room and the people talk, but they don't know what is happening. It's not very nice. I have seen even case when they make a due diligence and they hide it from the team. In my case, I didn't believe in that, so I was very open with them. And they had 5 years to get used to the idea, so they were prepared. Usually the team associates their stability with the manager. So if you stay with the business, they're usually pretty fine with that in most cases. If the manager is released, then it's an issue with the team.
Did your employees get any stock options as well?
No.
To really like work hard for 5 years knowing that there will be an exit?
No, I have seen that. I think I can disclose without the details. There is one of the best deals ever done in Bulgaria, a really lucky deal, with the sale of Jet Finance to BNP Paribas. It is a company for small credits, very successful one. They closed for the deal for a lot of zeros, not to mention the details, very nice zeros in whatever currency. They have devoted a percentage of the deal to the core part of the team, about 20 people. So, but the amount of the deal, the size, and the fact that the management will not stay were their main motivators. In our case, we have not distributed part of the sale price or whatever to the team, but they knew that I will stay and the management team will stay and something like that.
How long did you stay?
I stayed in the first deal. I stayed. In the second deal, I bought it back, so I stayed. And in the third deal, I stayed for another almost 5 years. But it was very difficult, and I was analyzing myself in the beginning of this year, and I find out that I cannot have a boss. So this is a problem. So now I don't have a boss. And you have to be honest about that to yourself. You have to. If you cannot, then you have to start your own business.
Or not sell your business.
Or yes, or not sell. Yes. Actually, I sold the company at that time. It was making a net profit only in Bulgaria, 1.5 million level, which is almost 800,000 euros. Which is, if you have majority stake and you earn a nice salary, with this profit is not bad. I honestly believe that you cannot fight with the big guys like Adecco or Manpower or the likes if you are a small local company. Then I traveled a lot and I find out that in many countries in Eastern Europe, and not only in Eastern Europe, the number one in the market is actually a local company. The biggest HR company in the United States is a local company called, I remember what, something with A, which has over $8 billion of sales last year. And they are number one there. The biggest HR company in Russia is a local company, twice bigger than the other. So when I have my next business, I will not sell. Yes.
you talked about having like a long-term or short-term exit strategy. Have you thought about creating something with a 30-year exit strategy, or even going further than that?
Yes, this is the continuation of the previous one. I would like to have, after what I have experienced, I mean, this has been a very helpful experience, and someday I will sit and write a book, or I don't know, share. I go to lectures in the universities and try to share this experience, because we have made a lot of mistakes during these processes, and I would like to help you know, any Bulgarian or whatever European business to avoid those. But yes, I would like to have, and I will have an HR business that is long-term. And I also shared with Nicola and the team, I have another project now, which is to create the first national database of students in Bulgaria, studying in Bulgaria and abroad, and also secondary school last year students, which will be aimed to increasing their possibility to find job or traineeship. This one I would want to keep for my children. So I have 2 for the time being, and I expect, according to the fortune teller, born foreigner, so we will look around. Any other? All clear? I'm at your disposal. Again, thank you for inviting me, and big thanks to the JCI Bulgaria team for the great event we had. I owe them a favor. I promised, and I didn't commit to my promise, to take a photo of the Wolf of Wall Street together with them. And I really feel very sorry. I don't sleep since then. It was end of May, so I expect a date. He has a date in Moscow, which I'm not organizing, but I expect a date in the area with him by the end of the year. If we have it, I will let you know, and then I promise that you will have a photo with him. So.
We'll be happy to have a photo with you tonight. So.
Thank you very much for your time.